Welcome back to part 2 of episode 137 of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. We're going over International Fight Week. We're at the prelims of UFC 290. We're going to go over the prelims, the early prelims. We're going to talk a little Ultimate Fighter, talk a little bit Fury and Ngannou. A lot going on in the combat sports world. Can't wait to get to all of it with you, man.
Yeah, I know it, man. I guess lead off, we'll start right outside the UFC so that we don't have to kind of break the pace there. But that would be Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou signed to fight Saudi Arabia October 28th. I guess if you're one of those people, and I am technically one of those people that said whenever he signed with the PFL, what does he do? I guess when he signed with the PFL, I didn't say what is he doing. I said, what is the PFL doing? Because that was a crazy deal for them to sign for him. Now, whenever he was turning down deals that I thought were great deals, like the however much was supposedly offered to fight John Jones, stay at the UFC, I thought he was crazy for leaving that. Now, it's all going to come to fruition. He's going to, if he does step in that boxing ring, whether he gets finished in one punch, this is the first punch, he gets paid. Doesn't matter. So for him, pretty much a win. Now, for Tyson Fury, and I'm confused why he wants it.
See, I'm not. Maybe I'm foolish. Maybe I can't see the forest through the trees. Like, maybe I'm too in the combat sports world to, like, have a pulse on how the average, like, casual feels about this. But I don't think there's any reason why this wouldn't do Jake Paul-ish type numbers. But like I said, maybe I'm too in the combat sports world. Like, maybe the average 12-year-old like kid doesn't give a fuck about Fury and Ngannou. But in my numbers, I think he just looked at the landscape of boxing. Like, does anybody give a fuck about a Usyk or about any of these other boxers? See, I'll be real, I don't. Like, I don't like boxing. I don't watch boxing. So, like, I'm going to buy this pay-per-view. This fight is for guys like me.
I get it. It's for they're trying to meet in the middle and get all, because like even boxing hardcores will probably buy it to watch Fury. MMA hardcores are going to watch it to buy Ngannou, and anyone in the middle is going to buy it because they're in the middle.
Yeah, because people are talking about it, tweeting about it. It's going to be hot. Like the week of, it's going to be hot, just like these Jake Paul fights are. And then as far as like Francis signing with the PFL, it was all about this. I don't think it had anything to do with like per fight, like actual MMA contract. I think if I had to imagine, I bet all that per fight MMA contracts were pretty similar, at least in the same ballpark.
I think
it was about this freedom.
He technically took less.
Not allowed.
He technically took less as the PFL per fight because he was the champion of the UFC, so he would have had pay-per-view points. So like he was going to make a lot more per fight if he would remain the title holder in the UFC. However, they offered him like stake in the company and allow him to fight outside of the company.
Yes, it was all about that third thing you just said. It was all about allowing this fight to happen, which I still go back to like the root of this issue, which is like I don't get why Dana wasn't like in on this. Like you could argue like, yeah, it's different than Mayweather McGregor, and maybe it doesn't do these same numbers. I don't know. I don't understand why Dana wouldn't want to get in on this. I really don't.
So,
like, especially like he could have put a power slap fight on the undercard. Like, I mean, he could have like gotten his money's worth out of it. I don't know. I don't really get it.
I get power slap.
It seemed like kind of like a spiteful, petty. Which we all know Dana can be spiteful and petty. So maybe that's exactly what it was. But like, I don't know. I thought Dana could have made some money. The UFC could have got some exposure. Like, I don't see why he was so dead set against it to like force Francis to like go look elsewhere.
I think I kind of see it, and that's the fact that whoever Dana matches up as far as like a boxing match under the UFC umbrella, he's got to go work out all that paperwork, and they're going to probably want to go 50-50. And for Dana, he's the one saying, like, I have ESPN Plus as a platform. I have all these pay-per-view connections already. I mean, for him, he's going to do a lot of the logistics work, so he probably wants a higher percentage, and I don't think most people would find that to be necessarily fair.
So you just think Dana didn't think the juice is worth a squeeze? He has enough going on. He's making enough money with the UFC. I get that. I don't think it's like a need to. I think Dana does hate like the boxing like world too, like doing business with those people, which allegedly is a nightmare doing business with boxing people.
Right.
So.
And the other caveat being, he said the only reason he even did the McGregor Mayweather thing is, A, he knew Floyd could promote a fight, so it wasn't going to be like he had to do really much work because he knew those two guys were just going to do it and it was Mayweather
Yeah,
Promotions, so he was
and Ngannou sucks at selling fights, like
right,
promoting them,
right,
like
and it
doing
was
business with Ngannou. Yeah,
like Floyd owns Mayweather Promotions, right? So like Dana could literally deal with Floyd, like, hey, man to man, like let's work this out, me and you, with lawyers in the room,
yeah.
whatever. But like now he's having to deal with like boxing promoters, which is entirely different than the actual fighter themselves.
Good points. I'll be real. Like I kind of came around a little bit. It would have been, man. I mean, I just feel like there's a scenario where we all could have had our cake and eat it too.
There
Because like,
definitely
yeah,
is. There definitely
like
is.
at least it's not all for naught. Because for a second it was looking like it was all for naught. And this fight was never going to happen. And like Francis kind of signed with the PFL for no reason, kind of, right? Like for us, there was like a 3-4 month period where it was like, what are we doing here? This kind of seemed pointless. But now that the fight's actually happening, at least it wasn't all for naught. Francis gets his generational wealth bag, and time. No, the shitty part of all this is that like there's gonna come a day where we're watching like a 39-year-old Francis fight a can in the PFL that we've never heard of, and either lose to said can or nuke said can, and we're just not gonna care either way. And like that's when this is all gonna kind of suck. Like this is cool in this moment, so I'm gonna enjoy it. But whenever this is all over, and I mean, there's no way Francis does what 3 boxing matches. No way. Like this is kind of a one-off deal, right? I mean,
Well,
obviously, if he
I mean, if
wins,
he
it's not.
wins, yeah,
Yeah,
that's. I guess the PFL banks entirely on that because then they start hosting it in their pay per view division because then he's the champion of all of it. So what do they need the boxing for? Like you guys got to come here.
and I gotta say, I'm a little, and maybe I'm a mark. Maybe I was wanting some gimmick. Shout out, and Francis named his private promotion gimmick
Yeah,
promotion,
I
which
saw
is
that.
troll job level 9 million. Fucking kudos to you, Francis, for just whipping your dick out on Dana real quick with that. But what I'm getting at here is I was kind of thinking it was going to be some kind of hybrid, especially because it's looking like it's going to be an exhibition. I don't believe that's been explicitly said, but things are pointing in that direction. And it's going to be an actual boxing match with boxing gloves and a ring, not a cage. I was looking forward to a little bit of gimmicky. Let's do it in a cage with 4-ounce gloves, but it's boxing. Maybe even like bare knuckle rules where you can clinch, like a
Oh
little dirty
no,
boxing.
no! You couldn't
Oh, see,
clinch.
I think that would be way more intriguing, way more competitive, way
Well,
more worth my
it's
80
but
bucks or whatever.
they're not trying to compete in a new skill set. Like it's Francis trying to say like I can outbox the best
I
boxer.
know, which I am not buying into, and I'm like, you're not going to convince me of that. You can convince me of 4-ounce gloves, cage, bare knuckle style rule set.
If you want Francis to
Bare knuckle.
win,
I want it just to be remotely competitive.
yeah,
I
but
don't.
I mean the challenge
I
is
mean, when
issued
have we
like
ever
come
seen?
outbox me. You know what I mean?
Get it? And Francis didn't really have that leverage. I'm just talking about like as a fan, and the thing is that they were teasing it like that. Like this isn't my idea. They both had like alluded to something like that taking place. So why even bring it up? Fury likes to do that. Fury, honestly, like a great boxer, but he likes to do the whole talk a big game until it's time, and then he's going to try to make it favor him. Like he did the same thing when him and John Jones were talking shit. He tried to walk it back. Then he did the same thing with, like, literally, he brought Francis Ngannou in the cage, and they were talking about 4-ounce gloves and cages, and I kind of sprinkled in the bare knuckle rule set because I think that would be cool. But they fucking talked about 4-ounce gloves and cages, and then just to not do it, it just seems like a little bit anticlimactic because it's not even a matter of wanting Francis to win. I mean, maybe it is. I do want Francis to win, but it's like I said, if it's, and that's another thing. All right, it's a boxing match. Then why isn't your belt on the line, Fury? Allegedly, his belt's not on the line. So it's like,
It's an exhibition.
I know, which just does nothing for me. Even though I want to be a mark and buy it, but it does nothing for me. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. I've said my piece. It would be way cooler if it was a boxing match for a belt, not an exhibition with real judges and all that. Because if we get some Mike Tyson, Roy Jones shit where they're like everyone wins, it was an exhibition,
Yeah,
then
that was
I'm like,
terrible.
that's fucking lame, dude. So like, I don't know. So that's my thoughts on it. But I am glad that it's actually happening, and I will watch it.
All right, well, let's keep it pushing to a guy that may not even fight rule set regardless, Conor McGregor, and Ultimate Fighter, and how that's all going right now.
Yeah, Conor McGregor's over as a coach on this season of Tough, and it's been tough for Team McGregor. And now the debate on Twitter is how much of it is McGregor being a dog shit, drunk, coked out coach, or just the whole vets versus rookies kind of concept, or vets versus prospect, however you want to word it. And there's literally no sport where you can there's no sport where you can do like NFL vets versus NFL rookies and it's competitive, or NBA vets versus NBA rookies and it's competitive, or
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
it doesn't work kind of as a concept, especially with the level of vets. Like if they got actual can-ass vets, but like Timur Valiev is legit. Roosevelt Roberts, like these guys
Jason
that
Knight was
heard
pretty
of.
damn good.
Yeah, exactly.
Brad Katana.
Like I get it. Like, and it's weird because like some of the prospects are like older than some of the vets. It was just a really weird concept, and I like it from the vet side of like the perfect redemption story, second chance, like get some steam back on your name, like revitalize a career. But like, and then from a vet or from a prospects, it's like, all right, I'm gonna get to go fight some like washed up dudes as opposed to like some young lions. But yeah, I mean, it's just not out to be overly competitive. Even though the past 2 weeks have been pretty competitive, like when you see the kind of sweep, it doesn't seem that competitive. But it's the fights have been close.
Yeah, that's what you and I were talking about. Is the first, well, it's sad to say, the first 5 weeks, not really too close. But when week 6 last week, guys probably should have won. If you haven't seen the episode from last night or Monday night, whenever it came, I think it was Tuesday night, whatever it was. Spoiler alert: McGregor lost again, but his guy looked good, got the takedown, and then Jason Knight just managed to. His guys keep getting submitted. Have you noticed?
Yeah, well, notice that too, and it is like even like in the little snippets. I know they're edited down, and I'm not saying you get everything, but every training session with Connor actually coaching is like, in my opinion, for my untrained eye, it seems like he's trying to make every fighter fight like him.
Yeah, it doesn't make
And
sense.
like,
He's not coaching their skill set. He's coaching his skill set to them. It's very weird.
yes, it's in like, which proves like damn well Connor didn't watch a millisecond of film on any of these guys, not a chance.
Hell no. He
And
doesn't give a shit about that.
no, and so it's not that the shit that he's telling him is like bad technique, but it's just like it's like a football coach that's like, we're gonna run my system, as opposed to the football coach who like is gonna tailor his system to his personnel. It's like Connor's just like, this is what we do here. We have 380-pound O linemen, but we're gonna throw bubble screens.
It's
Like,
like
this is just
it's
what my system is.
well, it's like when you saw the Eagles try to run their offense with Gardner Minshew because they built it around Jalen Hurts. It's like you got to have a Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts kind of a player to run that offense because that's the design of it. You know what I mean? They designed it around
Yeah.
that. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things of like, man, yeah, like you got to understand who you have and what's going to best make them best so that you have the most success as a coach.
It's going to be real awkward though in a couple of weeks when all these like guys that were on the same team are fighting each other. And I know that's happened before, but like not this sweepingly. Like,
Right,
you know
where
what I
it's
mean?
like they all just like look around like, oh shit, we've all drilled with each other like extensively at this point. Like now we all have to fight each other.
Probably going to make for some bangers though. Like probably going to make for some like really close competitive fights if I had to guess.
Well, and I'd imagine some guys might know they're a little better. You know what I mean? Like kind of have that feeling already. Like, man, I think I can land this shot. Like I didn't do it in practice because I didn't want to like some. I imagine
Now,
guys aren't throwing devastating wild shots in practice.
now let me ask you this. Just one last little tough kind of segment, and we'll keep it pushing these prelims. But do you think tough? I've seen the argument made that like Contender Series does now what Tough used to do back in the day, and that like Tough seems kind of like unnecessary kind of filler content, just to, like kind of help Dana White like check some boxes for ESPN Plus.
Well,
Like because like I'm just saying the level of guys like the Juliana Millers and the Brian Battles of the world, like coming off of these recent seasons, like it's not like back in the day with like what Bisping was an Ultimate Fighter, right? And like these guys that like went on to be champions. I don't know if it's still fulfilling that role. Like obviously the Forrest Griffins, like the old school seasons that like produce the best guys in the world. It's no, it's now producing like prelim fighters. Like what is kind of the point?
Okay, here's what I think about it is that like the cultural perception of fighting today doesn't match like the cultural or the presentation of how their fighters are making it, if that makes sense. So like as the sport grew in popularity, right? Like whenever it was more of a niche sport, it was cool to see the fighters live in the house and see like how fighters interacted because you just didn't know
You had
fighters. It
never
was
seen
like
that before.
right. It was like the novelty of it was what you're essentially absorbing. And now that it's a more popularized mainstream sport, making them stay on weight for 6 weeks isn't realistic. Making them
It's
all
like,
live
yeah,
together isn't realistic. Like nothing about it is preparation for how they'll actually be in the UFC. However, Dana White's Contender Series is exactly what they're going to have to do in the UFC, identical to it. So it's just a way better feeding system.
yes, yes, exactly. And like, I mean, I hope to be proven wrong, but like, I mean, Mo Usman won last season. Like that guy fucking sucks. I'm sorry. Like I just, and then Palga was the semifinalist, and like Trayshawn Gore was the runner-up. The guy is
And even
like,
Brian Battle like isn't the best. Petrosky not the best. Like
I don't know. Yeah, it's just like, if there was a way. And like I don't know if it's they're getting too many Americans. Like they're like why they like go to the get some Dagestani kid we never heard of, or some Brazilian, or like
what?
guys, or like I honestly don't even think they would let these guys on Contender Series. Like get them the caliber of fighter. Just to me, it's just like a low caliber product. It's like watching like the USFL or
Like
something.
I
Like
can
yeah,
tell you
like
why they don't get Dagestani guys. Those guys couldn't live 6 weeks at the weights they fight at. They all suck so much
yeah,
weight. Like they're all dying for for a 20 minute window while they're wearing that weight that they're on, and then they're inflating back up like a balloon. That's pretty much every Dagestan guy we've seen, right?
yeah, yeah, I don't know, dude. Yeah, I mean, I'm watching it because I'm a fucking mark, but it kind of seems like a little bit pointless, like,
I,
honestly,
I'm
like,
watching
but
it too, but that's what's like highlighting these glaring errors to me as far as like I mean, we have a bunch of friends that are aware of who fighters are, like on a name basis, right? Like you say, Stylebender, Izzy, Israel Adesanya. People know who you're talking about, right? And they also, at this point, it's mainstream enough where they know that like fighters don't just walk around at the weight that they are. Like everyone knows
yeah,
that they are like at least cutting a. That I don't think people know how drastic those cuts are. Like definitely they don't know that, but everyone knows that like they're like cutting a little bit of weight. So I think with those two things in mind, like seeing those guys live in the house is just not intriguing or realistic because like then they turn around and they're like thinking to themselves, is that how it works? And then they see the guy fight twice in a year and they're like, well, what the hell? He fought 3 times in 6 weeks in this show. It's just not a good
yeah,
representation of the sport.
yeah, and like honestly, I just don't think it's even that well like edited or produced. Like, you remember back in the day, they would like do challenges against each other, or like there'd be drama inside the house. Like, literally every episode is just like 5 minutes of like hitting pads and like drilling, and then it's like a couple little interviews of Connor saying some generic bullshit, and then it's like then it's the are they there'll be like one like conversation as they're like sitting in the hot tub of like some sure do miss my family, bruh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
me too, bruh.
they've cut
And
the
like,
reality series or the reality TV show part of it out of it. And that was like the
which was like
biggest selling
half the
point for
fun.
casuals. That was like what led them into becoming potentially hardcores.
And it's just like so like and then they fight, and then there's like the little one guy's real happy, one guy's real sad, and then they cut to the promo for next week. It's just the whole thing feels like it's like a trailer. Like the whole thing feels like every scene kind of stops before it even gets started. Like I just don't like the way it's like edited, made, filmed, produced. Like I said, I'm watching it because I'm a fucking mark. I don't know, I'm kind of over it. But I guess that's our dunk on tough little segment, and we can keep it pushing because man, Robbie Lawler versus Niko Price, man. I mean, what a moment! What a Robbie Lawler and definitely a Hall of Famer, right? Like it passes that smell test of Hall of
Yeah, I
Famers.
mean,
Like
and also like has that like I think there was a question floating around like is Donald Cerrone a Hall of Famer? Actually, a fair question, right? Like
yeah,
I believe DC and someone else they had both said like he shouldn't be in because his achievements are marathon achievements and not like highest level championship achievements, which I agree
yeah.
with, but also don't agree with too, right? Like why is Cal Ripken in the
Rob,
Hall of Fame? Like part of it is the fact that he played 2,000 whatever games in a row.
yeah, and the Brett Favre's of the world. Every sport has their like version of it. It does get tough in the UFC with like the Jim Millers, but I think what we're getting at here is Robbie Lawler had both, right? Like he had the highest of
Was
highs and
yeah,
the
so
longevity.
right, was a champion, does hold records and accolades, and has like highlight moments and has a fight that's in the Hall of Fame already. So yeah, I think he
And
has
like
all
the
the
fan base, like I remember when I was like a kid, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I mean Robbie Lawler started fighting when I was literally a child, so it's like, but I remember hearing the name like before I was even really a UFC fan, like when I was just kind of getting my toes wet. Like you heard that name Robbie Lawler from like whatever friends you had that were into it, or just like some little thing on the internet, or you didn't even have to really be into MMA to like really. The same thing with like Chuck Liddell, and like he was like that like era, that caliber of guy. Like you would hear those names kind of just like floating around before I even knew like who was in what weight class or what. I knew who Robbie Lawler was.
I
And like
wonder.
BJ Penn and like all those dudes. Like I wasn't like super into it, but I knew who those guys were. Rampage.
See, I wonder who those dogs of tomorrow are gonna be, right? Like, is it a guy like Sarukian that's got so high up, so young, and has a skill set that is still growing, of course, with the sport? Where like, is he gonna if he does it for 15, 17, not that many years? That's well, I guess professionally, yeah, but in the UFC 10 or 12 years, I mean, is he a name that is like that?
Sadly, could be like a Robert Whitaker.
Yeah,
Robert
I
Whitaker
guess
type
Whitaker
of guy. He's been
is
around a long time.
Wonder Boy is one
Um,
of those guys currently. I think that
yeah,
we'll look back and know like
currently.
that.
No, for sure. All those guys that like started young and stuck around and like stayed relevant for like, many years. It could be like a Brendan Allen even. Like if
See,
he's just like kind of like top seven for the next like 12 years or whatever, like I could see it.
Kevin Holland. I also think a guy like Wonder
Yeah.
Boy. I think Kevin Holland's like close to Donald Cerrone. I think Wonder Boy is closer to Donald Cerrone in this analogy, right? Of like he's just outside the Hall of Fame. If Robbie Lawler was just barely in, then Donald Cerrone's not, in my opinion, right? So
See, but to me, I view Robbie Lawler as like a shoe in.
no, I'm just saying
Like,
like on that basis, if Robbie was like, if you had to be that good to get in, then I would say like he's not it. But I think Whitaker is right because he did
yeah,
hold the belt and did defend it.
and has been around a long time. That's another guy. I think Robert Whitaker won a season of Tough, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. Like we're not producing Robert Whitakers here. Like I'm sorry, Brad
exactly.
Battle. Like you're not a Robert Whitaker. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so sometimes I do think about that whenever you see a guy that's like, you know, kind of just in the middle of their career and you have no idea what's like hell, Jalen Turner, Dan Hooker could be those guys. Dan Hooker is definitely a guy that could be just like Cerrone.
Yes, yes. He gives me. I mean, how he stepped up for Makhachev last minute was very Cerrone esque. For sure. He
Did you
fights
know
anybody. He'll rank guys. He'll fight unranked guys. I mean, he fought Claudio Playas. Like you're right. There is some
did you
similarities there.
did you know before Dan Hooker was in the UFC, he took a Pride Rules fight that was no weight limit
Yes, and I saw the highlight of it. It was
and he
sick.
starched that guy.
And he fucking soccer kicked him like he
Yeah.
did. Yeah. No, I saw that highlight. It was pretty sick. I was pretty no, absolute dog. Absolute dog. Yeah, kind of an old school guy, as you mentioned. But yeah, we got Robbie Lawler, 41 years old, plus 185 dog, taking on Niko Price, minus 215 favorite, welterweight division. Robbie Lawler announced that this was going to be his last fight. Everyone knew it. And so we bet against him because that's what we do on our show. And don't
Hell
forget,
yeah.
no regrets. Like over the course of 10 years or however, like we're in the green on that tendency. I don't give a fuck.
We've been
Uh,
feeding Vegas money the last 4 weeks, though.
oh yeah, oh for sure, making our donations for sure. Yeah. You're welcome if you're staying at a nice Nevada casino.
Oh
Enjoying
yeah.
your stay because yeah, we're funding that. But yeah, no, I mean, but seriously, like that's a tendency where over the course of a year, you bet against every single fighter that announces retirement, you would be well in the green, well in the green.
Oh, 100%. Now in this case, it is against weirdo Niko Price.
Yeah, I never felt great about it. Like it was purely like honestly, like that our rule aside and the whole retirement thing aside, if he didn't announce his retirement, I for sure, especially with the plus money, would have bet Lawler. And that's not hindsight. Like I felt weird. Like I had to be like, no, like it's our rule. Like and I'll ride with the rule, I'll die with the rule. I don't regret it. But like just objectively as fighters, I didn't necessarily love Niko Price.
Well, it's weird too because like after the fight, hearing Robbie talk about it, it sounded like a guy that didn't want to retire, but like knew it was like the time to retire. Like he just knew that there was nothing else left for him to chase. But no, now getting
Exactly.
into the fight, because for all this, it's a 38-second fight in which they kind of feel each other out for 15, 20 seconds till they meet up into a clinch. And then Robbie just starts feeding him uppercuts and
It was
hooks and overhands.
almost a hockey fight, right? Like
Yeah,
almost a
just
hockey
like
fight.
each one a collar
Like
tie, and Niko Price just slower than Robbie.
basically a hockey fight, like legitimately, like down to the techniques being used and the range being fought. Like it might as well have had ice skates on. But they, yeah, Robbie Lawler. I thought it was really smart. He landed two left hooks and then brought the left uppercut, so it was just all left hands, just left
Yeah, it was
hook, and
hook,
then
hook,
brought it
uppercut,
underneath.
hook,
As the guard widened out to fight those hooks, left this wide open.
and then got
And
that sweet hook that just, I mean, it shut the lights out for Niko Price. Like he was out cold.
he went limp, yeah, and like I saw a couple of people even saying it was kind of fugazi, like it was like a
Like a
maybe some kind
setup.
of fix or work, but I because it was shocking and it was weird and it was an awkward kind of style of fight, but no way, like Niko isn't that good of an actor, right? Like that, like he was out
No,
cold.
he was out bad. And then he was kind of asking like what happened. So you could kind of, I mean, that even for me is even more like, oh yeah, like he just literally got like snapped off real fast.
Yeah, man, and I mean, but that's Niko Price's style. Like I said, I mean, I'm no boxing expert, but he leaves so many openings and I think he's going from like exciting to just full blown like sloppy, right? Like I've never
Yeah.
like I remember the first couple times I watched Niko Price fight, I was like kind of in on like the exciting narrative and like, oh, this guy's gonna give us bangers, and it's kind of true. But like as his career kind of just goes on, it's just like it is just too sloppy of a style to like really have too much success.
Right. It's fun, but it's so sloppy. Now there's so much tape on him that like
Ooh,
guys just kind
you
of
know what?
brutalize him.
You know what's sloppy is this tapology. His only win in his last six fights is over Alex Oliveira, who's no longer in the promotion. Lost to Luque, no shame. No contest to Donald Cerrone, I guess no shame. I don't really remember the details, if
That
I'm
was the
being
eye.
honest.
That was the eye poke where Donald said he
I
couldn't see,
po
and they stopped it.
Okay, and then lost to Michelle Pereira, which that fight was awesome, but yeah, I mean, beat Alex Oliveira. Okay, lost to Phil Rowe, not great. Like it's just, and let's see, knockout, doctor stoppage. So yeah, he's been getting just like beat the fuck up, man, like badly, and it's just not sustainable. Pretty much out on Niko Price, if I'm being honest. But
Yeah, it's tough. I think the UFC is probably going to give him a nice little prospect to get some name value off of here going out. I think he has one more with the promotion if he is to lose. That is.
yeah, for sure. And then beautiful. I mean, hardly any, and it sounds cliche to say, but it's because it's true. Like we never get to see like these Hall of Famers like go out like with the on top. Like not on. I mean, not that beating Niko Price puts you on top, but like a first round knockout. I mean, much less a win. They hardly ever go out on a win, much less a knockout, much less a first round highlight knockout. So, I mean, kudos to him. Like kind of a storybook retirement. Did not get a bonus, which is wild. But Dana made some allusions that like he's being very well like compensated, and he's getting a Dana Duff on his way out, which is cool, and well deserved. Still wild not to get the official bonus though. That was awesome.
The fact that they only handed out 2 performances in a fight of the night was crazy for how good this card was.
Yeah, so many good finishes, so many good performances, and I mean, with the only reason being that Robbie Lawler's retiring, so we don't need to project what's next for him. I think he's going to be one of those guys we never fucking hear from again. Like he's not going to be on YouTube and calling bare knuckle fights. Like he's going to be. I think he's going to like fade off into the sunset. Like
yeah, like it literally seemed like almost like a Paul Felder, not even Paul Felder, but like a guy that like just knew like, ah man, like I love to like compete, but I just can't do this anymore.
yeah, and Lawler pretty much said like it was the training camps. Like he just couldn't really do training camps anymore.
That's what I
like,
mean. Like he
like
could show up to fight on fight night if nobody trained and you just showed up, he would still do it. But like having to subject his body to that 8 to 10 week camp every time is just too much for him at this age. It's just the grind is too much.
Yeah, which makes it 41 years old, man, fighting at a high level. He looked jacked. He looked shredded. He looked like he took it seriously. Like he didn't look washed up in any regard. So, I mean, like, yeah, just taking this moment to kind of soak in just like a happy retirement because so many guys go out the way of the Frankie Edgars. And, we've seen a lot of them. We've seen a lot of guys kind of go out sad, as the kids say. But, yeah, not too much more to say because I think Price is pretty much done, whether he knows it or not, and I think Lawler's done. So we'll keep it pushing here because we got exciting young fighter in Tatsuiro Taira, minus 740 favorite at only 23 years old, 13-0 coming into this one. One of the hottest flyweight prospects in the game, and taking on a guy that nobody knows, Edgar Shirez, kind of feeding him cans here, as the money line alludes to. He did have an opponent pull out. Let's see if it's anybody we cared about. I don't think it was, but sorry, I'm actually just curious, so forgive me. Tatsuro Taira was gonna fight Clayton Rodriguez, yeah, which is somebody we have heard of and we would have had a lot more interest in this fight. Edgar Chira stepped up at the last minute, though, so I'm not hating on him. Like, the show must go on. Tatsuro Taira flew all the way to America, made weight and all that. So this ends up taking place as a catch weight because I think Taira, made weight last week, if I'm not mistaken, or something along those lines. And or maybe the last minute replacement guy couldn't make 25, but he could make 30. But either way, and man, Taira's and control, and I mean he did it to a camp. So how do we juxtapose it? But I mean he was so dominant in this fight. Shirez did have him in a decently tight guillotine attempt in the first, but he escaped and then got in top control and just rained down elbows for the rest of the round. This guy Shirez kept jumping Gilly and kept getting elbows. Like that was just literally this whole fight. Chires would jump Gilly early in the round. Chires a way better grappler, so he would get out of it pretty much unscathed and then just rain down elbows for the remainder of the round. That's essentially the breakdown here.
Who was the wrestler that Cody Brundage just jumping Gilly?
Yeah, just jumping Gilly for no reason. I mean, the first one was not the worst attempt, but once it doesn't work and you lose the round, hey, dog, don't do it at the start of every round, which he literally did. Now, I have an interesting scorecard here. My scorecard's different than all three judges. I gave Taira a 10-8 in round two, and I feel good about it. Nobody else did.
I considered it. I still went 10-9. I thought Shires did enough back. I don't think it was lack of what Taira did.
Yeah, I mean, he was in full mount for the 3.5 minutes of the round. There was a cajillion elbows, literally so many. And there was the deep triangle attempt at the end of the round that essentially Shirez was saved by the bell. So it's I legitimately, that's a 10-8, 10 times out of 10 for me. I feel really bullish on it. Now, nobody else feels that way, so I guess I'll kick rocks. But I definitely wanted to make that take and stay with my chest out because that's a 10-8 to me, dog.
I guess it was probably just the visual of him being on top of I know he's in a triangle, but he did reverse that position to get there.
After eating 97 elbows and being mounted for 3.5 minutes. Like, fuck out of here.
It wasn't the most damage though.
Well, because that guy had some weird comments, bro. Just some like, and he was like throwing up gang signs in his press conference and shit. He's just like this Mexican, like fucking shaved head. Just dude, that guy's just built different, bro. He's just like being like prison shanked in his face for like years. Like
He was.
that guy's been jumped into the set. Like I don't know, dude. That guy just wouldn't cut. It made no sense. He ate so many clean elbows and just wouldn't bleed. It was the guy's face is made out of fucking I don't even know what. But you're right. The visible damage wasn't there, but there was still like 72 elbows landed clean. And the guy just wouldn't cut. He has that like Shane Burgos type of just face that just
The guy puts lotion and vitamin E cream on every morning and night. Like, you know what I'm saying? His skin's just so moisturized it just won't split.
yeah, and I guess doesn't have much scar tissue. Like, it doesn't make anybody else's cut there. Like, seriously, like, this guy's fucking face is ridiculous. Like, if there was a clean, like, so, like, dozens. I'm not even exaggerating. I've been exaggerating. 72 and the 9 million, but, like, it's literally fair to say he ate dozens of clean elbows and didn't cut. Like,
Yeah, and well, also credit to Shirez because I ended up scoring round 3 to him.
me too. Me too. Granted, it was a close round, and I have my
Close
notes like
round.
Tyra won like 90% of the round, but then he got saved by the bell because you know what do you know, Shire? I guess I'll eat my crow. The ghillie. Yeah, like the dude just spammed ghillies, just like when you're playing UFC with somebody and somebody's gonna spam ghillies. It's, one, it was kind of like spray and pray. Like he looked like a fucking terrorist with an AK shooting over his head, just with ghillies. He just was spraying and praying ghillies, and one of them got close. But whatever he switched it over to mounted guillotine, and like I think it's fair to say Tyro was saved by the bell.
Yeah.
But he won like not only 90% of the round, like 98% of the fight, like by a wide margin. It's like I don't know. I'm kind of a Tyra mark, so maybe I'm giving him a pass. But like the dude was just spamming gillies. One of them got kind of close, but he got the shit kicked out of him. Tyra looked great, but I mean, it was kind of alarming. Like, I mean, Tyra almost fucking fumbled the bag here.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, yes and no. Like, I thought honestly the whole time he was even in it, though, like, as dangerous as it was, he seemed like he was pretty calm. As far
Very
as
calm.
like
But
his
he's calm
defense.
when he's dominating too. He's just so fucking even killed. And I think that is part of like the Japanese cultures, like Yuto Origami, the gold medalist skateboarder, is the same way. Just like emotionless, just like yeah, those guys just have like a different way of like conducting themselves that like the guys like from Japan, not talking about like Japanese Americans, but like the born, bred, raised Japanese guys are like. And like, dude, all I can think about, I think Tyra's from Okinawa, and like, not even on some like dark nationalist shit, but like, his grandpa was one of those fucking savages. Like, like, like if you know your American history or World War II history, the Japanese gave the U.S. Marines all they could bargain for in those battles on Okinawa and Iwo Jima, and like I mean, he descends from that like lineage of like actual fuck, bro. Like Prohaska talks about being a samurai. Like this guy's like a goddamn like kamikaze pilot.
Yeah.
Like,
Um,
like
and
I say that like literally like with respect to like the warrior like genetics. Like I said, take the nationalism out of it or whatever. Like we don't know who got the last laugh there, but but no, like
God, Sean
seriously,
Strickland on the pod.
the thing is, guys. But no, seriously, like I mean, the warrior spirit is so calm, but like yeah, a different kind of warrior spirit, not like the emotional Charles Oliveira warrior spirit, just the fucking assassin.
So, what do you like next for Tatsuiro Taira? Sorry, I just spaced on his name for a half second.
No, I mean honestly, if they remade the Clayton Rodriguez fight, that would make a lot of sense. But also, he's 14-0 now, so like he's not like a Bo Nickel.
That's
type
how
of
I
prospect.
feel. Is like I'm kind of done with the build. Like I'm built on him. Like let me see him.
And I mean, let's look at the back
Steve
end of the
Erceg.
rankings here. Steve Ursick. Oh, that would be an absolute heater. I love that guy. Was ranked 14 now. Didn't realize that.
Well, he beat
Dvorak.
Dvorak. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, Dvorak. Well, see, I think you give him Dvorak, who's at 15, coming off a loss, can't really argue, deserves to fight back.
well,
I
but
think
he had to fight an unranked guy to get to 15. Like, you shouldn't make him fight 2 unranks in a row. Like, that's kind of fucked. I guess
I
15 you
disagree.
can't argue that, but like, I wouldn't give him an up and coming prospect. Like, I give him the chance to defend 15 like rightfully, and I'd make Urseg defend 14 against someone that like let's make sure Urseg didn't just have one good
we
night.
know they don't like these young guys like crossing paths this early. Like that's a potential top 10 fight, and sometimes people misuse that and overuse that kind of line of thinking. But I legitimately, especially in the flyweight division, like seriously, in 6 months, that's a top 10 matchup.
I think it's early enough though where they don't know what they have potentially with Urseg if he does end up losing and goes on like maybe a bad run, almost like a Moreno or like a Holloway.
I mean, Ulan Bekov's sitting there, Sumu Darji's sitting there. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate. Dude, as a fan, I hope you're right. I hope they birth the Usyk fight. Like that's literally like, I'll have that one circled weeks in advance. Like I'm fans of both of those guys. Like,
It's
that
just
would
really
be
the fight I want,
fucking,
honestly. That's why I'm
no,
just leaning into it so hard.
no, yeah, no. And I, like, as a fan, I would absolutely, I'd be 6 to midnight if that got announced. But
You and me
I
both,
don't know.
brother.
I think Dvorak makes a lot of sense. Like I don't think they're trying to build Dvorak. I don't think they view him as like a future top 5 guy. So I think you can just like get Taira in the rankings, make the Usyk fight. Like I said, I think so highly of both of these guys that I think maybe 9 months from now that's a top 10 fight, and you do it then on a main card. But maybe I'm being a little overzealous there. So yeah, but no, I mean, great performance by Taira. Like I said, 14-0 is no joke. Like that's no 6-0, 7-0. 14-0. I mean, I think that's the same record Hamzat got. So I mean, Taira's a dog. Big fan.
I'm a big fan too. Now, you talked about 6 to midnight. I was going to say, speaking of the next fight, midnight to 6 whenever you see Denise Gomes' neck tap.
Dude, fuck you. You fucking salty hater. Fucking throat tap Brazilians are in 2023. Fucking trend watch.
You think if her and Caio
Fucking
Braulio had a
throat tap
kid, they would just be born with a neck tap?
He's born with throat tap and like maybe overly placed on cards from a young age. But no, but seriously, bro. I mean, so coming into this, we got Yasmin Haragway, prospect, 24 years old, minus 375 favorite, big favorite over Denise Gomes, also 23 years old, plus 285 dog, and I do mean dog. She's fighting in the strawweight division, and I'll be real, I was super high on Haragway. Didn't bet it, so I guess I was only so high. But I mean, she looked like one of the next prospects. Like, right?
I mean,
like,
10-0,
still could be.
Still had her 10-0.
Yeah, that's no joke, especially in the strawweight division. Like, you know, star-laden division, but I don't think there's like a bunch of like unranked 10-0 prospects that we're foaming at the mouth to see.
I mean, by the end of the fight, still had an O. It just wasn't in the loss column. It was in the strikes landed.
Yeah. I mean, bro, this was crazy.
It was crazy. I was like
this was
jaw on the
entertaining as fuck. Denise Gomes, I mean, this fight lasts what? How long does it last? 25 seconds?
20 on the dot. 20 seconds.
20 seconds. I mean, just comes out, just the right hand wobbled her, and then I literally have right hand into murder. Like, it was literally just, like, my notes literally have the word murder in it. Like, it was just wobbled her with the right, and then just, like, literally just street fight, prison fight, whatever you want to say.
It was probably, like, what? Like, 5 more, like, good, solid punches on the feet that were, like, connecting, like, good technique, and then it went from, like, the first 5 punches she threw were, like, solid in the pocket, from range, you know, like, good shots. After that, which would be the next 19 shots, it was just like a prison wallop, like, pressed against the wall, just like, just, like, pretty much trying to get as many off as possible.
And then Howard tried to say it was an early stoppage. No, her body went like 3 times.
Yeah.
If anything, it was a late stoppage. Like,
she went like limp twice.
Well, this is the second hype train she's derailed. Bruna Brazil was her last fight, who was like a hyped up contender series. Another under, I think Denise was an underdog there too, and I think I bet on Bruna Brazil. That's how I know that. And so she's just derailing these hype
And
trains,
she
bro.
KO'd
Like,
Bruno Brazil too.
yeah, she did. Now she hasn't lost to Luke Boomy, which kind of makes sense. Luke Boomy is like an actual technical Muay Thai striker, and Denise Gomes is a brawler.
Also her
So
debut in
like,
the UFC.
also her debut. So a lot of kind of working against her. There's a bad matchup, but dude, she is starching these girls, bro. She reminds me of like a young Jessica Andrade, like
Mm-hmm.
or like that Amanda Lemos, like these Brazilian strawweights, dude. They pack power.
I'm a fan. I mean, honestly, at this point, I think Vegas is not going to sleep on her, which I think means we can fade her in the next fight for good value.
I think it depends on the matchup. I understand your overarching point, but like, especially if they give her a grappler, I'll fade her. But on the feet, dog, I don't know any of these strawweights that want that smoke. Like,
Let's go ahead and give
I
her to
mean,
Tatiana Suarez.
no, I mean, hey, she has a fight booked, I'm pretty sure. But you know what you could do? Give her Angela Hill or Waterson Gomez. I think she beats Waterson Gomez. Angela Hill kind of is a similar style to look through me, so maybe it's a bad matchup. I think she beats Waterson Gomez, bro. I think call me a hype train nut rider, whatever, throat tap Brazilian lover. I uh I think she beats Waterson Gomez right fucking now.
I think
And I mean right now because she took no damage. So like they could book
great point. She can fight again whenever. Um, yeah,
she's
honestly, I mean, her and Angela Hill's a fun fight. I think her and Waterson Gomez still a fun fight. I think both
definitely.
those are winnable. I think Ricci's a lot tougher fight for her, like way
Yeah,
tougher.
bad matchup
I
for
think
sure. Yeah. And I think
I think
Ricci's just like a better fighter.
I think Hebos is kind of tough, and then Pinheiro would be up in the air too. I wouldn't hate that.
No. Yeah, there's a lot of fights there for at strawweight. Like I mean, I'm not saying she's a world beater, but you can't tell me there's 15 girls in the strawweight division that beat her. Seriously.
Oh yeah, no, I fully agree with you. You know what's kind of fucked up? I was looking at.
What's up?
Imagine, imagine being fucking where is it? God damn, I just saw her name. Oh, being Rose. Oh, she is there. I'm an idiot. Never mind. I was gonna say Yan Jianan and all those. Like I thought Rose wasn't ranked ahead of Tatiana Suarez in the overall rankings on women's rankings. I was like, that's kind of fucked up. Never mind. Point doesn't matter. It's not there.
Are you on Tapology?
No, I'm on the ranking site. I can get on
No
Tapology.
way. I was just gonna wonder who Tatiana Suarez has a fight booked, and I don't remember against who. Is it? It might be Andrade.
Let's see. Suarez. I don't know. Upcoming fight Andrade, August 5th.
Yeah, that's a big fucking fight. That fight matters a lot. Yeah, but honestly, bro, I got to piss. Will you introduce the next fight?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So rounding out the prelims here, we had Jimmy Crute potentially trying to maybe save his career, get it back on track. I mean, he's a young guy still. Fighting Alonzo Minifield, a former football player. Definitely looks like it when you look at him. Light heavyweight division here. Um, Let me see what Minifield and the odds were here. Minifield plus 135, Jimmy Crute plus or minus 160. That's probably about right in my eyes. You know, when you come into the fight. However, I don't know. Crute's just been so shaky. He's so hard to bet on recently. I mean, if you look at his last four fights, Anthony Smith lost, Jamal Hill lost, Minifield draw, and now matchup against Minifield again. A lot of people said that shouldn't have been a draw because Crute won one round and Minifield won two, but Minifield had a point taken for infractions, so it was a draw by points.
Yeah, it was
So
like a fence grab, I believe, like a bad fence grab. I think if I'm not mistaken.
right, and I was just pretty much the overarching point of a lot of I keep blanking on names tonight, man. A lot of Jimmy Crute's wins have not aged well, right? So like his one
But his
win.
losses have. His losses have.
His losses have his one win that aged super well is he did get a submission win over Paul Craig, which is honestly crazy.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
yeah, but then like a win over Sam Alvey. Okay, who cares? Submission
Devin
loss.
Clark, who cares? OSP, who cares?
Submission loss to Serkinov is tough. A win over Oleksiejczuk, okay. A win over Bukauskas, okay. The Anthony Smith loss is tough because it's a doctor stoppage at the end of the first round, and Jamal Hill loss is super tough because he got KO'd in 50 seconds. So like, and the Jamal Hill, or not Jamal Hill,
Which is crazy, bro.
the Jimmy Crute Anthony Smith fight. I remember it was literally like wasn't like it was like a fluke cut. It was like he got so beat up in one round.
That's the thing, bro. He gets just touched. Like, he gets touched by everyone often. Now, he can take it. It's almost like Vettori, but like just a worse Vettori. Like, Vettori at least throws offense back and has great cardio. But, like, Vettori just eats shots. You know what I'm saying? But, like, it's just like a worse Vettori.
Much worse, right? Like, kind of doesn't have the same even offensive skill set of like being able to march forward the same.
Well, no, yeah, because he's like what, kind of a wrestler, but he's like not a wrestler.
Right,
so
like he's a wrestler that can't get takedowns. He can get in on shots, but he can never finish them.
And he just has a crazy chin, and he's kind of a wild guy, a tough guy. But yeah, had a 14 next to his name, and then but man, I mean, round one. I mean, as far as pretty much all Menifeld, to be honest. I mean, round one, Menifeld won. He was landing hard and clean, right on the chin because hey, he was fighting Jimmy Crute, so he's going to be able to touch the chin. And then, ends up getting the round two guillotine, and it came literally what you just spent time describing. Jimmy Crute shooting for a takedown, not getting it, ends up in a gilly. And it's just like failed takedowns and getting hit on the chin are like quite literally the summary of Jimmy Crute's career, which, I mean, that sounds mean to say, but like, if you like ask ChatGPT to like summarize Jimmy Crute's career, it's probably a similar answer you get.
And I don't know if you've read his story at all, but he took his gloves off.
Yeah.
After the fight, said he's not necessarily retiring, but he says he has a lot to figure out. And then
he made like a big Instagram post today, and I respect the honesty. Like, human to human, I respect it, and like hopefully it works for him. But he was saying shit along the lines of like, I've become like unhealthy, like my whole identity's attached to this. Like, I don't even know who I am without fighting. It's kind of unhealthy, like the mental health kind of shit, which I understand, but also if I'm just looking at it objectively, like as a sports fan, like bro, all the greats have that, but they don't like view it as a bad thing. Like Michael Jordan loved basketball more than his own children. Like, that's an actual like fact. I think the same could probably be said about like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and all they're all unhealthily obsessed with this sport. Like, that's kind of like what it is, right? Like, that's kind of the thing. Like, that's like what it got. You mean to tell me like Khabib like wasn't unhealthily, like he let on the other side of the world, like from his family? Like, I don't know, bro. Like, I think the greats are, which I don't think Jimmy Crute is a great, which is why he's like struggling with this. You got to be all in. I mean, hell, when I was playing football at a low-level fucking school in Oklahoma, I was unhealthily obsessed. It was my identity. It was my. I mean, I
kind of has to be, right? Like,
kind of has to be, right? Like, you don't think like Nigel Houston, the best skateboarder in the world, like he's unhealthily obsessed with skateboarding. It is kind of his personality. Like
there's very, very few athletes that like are not obsessed with their sport that are extremely good, right? Like, a few I can think of would be like Myles Garrett. It like has so many other,
but that's what keeps him from being Bosa or Watt. Like, he's never won a Defensive Player of the Year, and like he's never had playoff success. Like,
and he might be the most physically gifted of all those guys.
Yeah, for sure. If there's a combine between all those guys, he's winning it for sure. The most like physically gifted, 1,000%. And like Max Crosby's probably like the least physically gifted, but he just like loves that shit, plays the game hard,
Max
like has better
Crosby's a
stats than all.
beast, baby. Raiders.
Speaking of, I just watched the episode 1 of Quarterback on Netflix, bro.
Oh,
The
how is
thing
that?
Peyton Manning produced. Oh, amazing.
I need to watch that. I
So
couldn't believe Mahomes
good.
said yes.
Mahomes, Mariota, and Kirk Cousins, bro. It is so dope. Like, it is so good. Like, NFL Films is like a collab on
Is
it, so they get the
Mariota a
real footage.
dog or what?
Yeah, and honestly, just like Mariota is just like a very, just like honestly, like I think he's gonna be like a great coach. Like he just seems like
Hmm.
that kind of guy. Like just like you can't really let him get it. Like it's like he doesn't really get down. Like he just plays the hand he's dealt. Like takes things in stride. I don't know. I can see Mariota being like a dope coach, like a college coach. Or like oh no,
I
but
could I could also see Kirk Cousins being a complete psychopath. Um, and pretty much the reason I say Kirk, I guess, should we talk about Lonzo Minifield gets number 14? And
yeah. Let's do that. We got a little off the rails here, but yeah. So I mean, Minifield does take 14th, like physically officially, because the rankings are out.
yep.
And I what I like about Minifield, he was very honest when he got the microphone. He said, "I'm 35 years old. Like I need to fucking get this show on the road. Like I need to like stack these wins, make my run. Like the time is now." And he's not wrong. And I just for him to be honest and like have an accurate assessment of like his career and his age and it, you know his late start in martial arts because of his football background. I don't know. I'm not saying it like results in like top class success, but I do appreciate the like honesty, the awareness, and like trying to steer his career. He's 14. I mean, you could have him
I kind of like
first
all
off.
of his matchups with everyone 10 and back. Honestly.
Yeah, because he's a plus athlete. He cracks, but he doesn't crack in like a sloppy way. Like he's very accurate.
Right.
Um,
Good wrestling
yeah,
defense.
you could fight him against Roundtree. I mean, if Reyes isn't retired, that's actually like, if he really wants to build his name, like that Reyes fight would be a good one. Um, him and Span would be a banger. I think Span obviously has way better grappling, so that'd be a
The
tough
size
matchup.
difference there is crazy, too.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, Minifield's a brick shit house. I don't think he's like the reach, but size, he's big. I mean, Murzakanov that'd be a striker's delight right there. That'd be a badass fight.
Right. I don't think
I
you can
mean,
go wrong with Minifield.
Paul Craig definitely subs him though, right? But I think he could get a win over Ozdemir. Actually, I think him and Ozdemir is like maybe fight of the year, or like I mean,
Oh my
they're just
God.
gonna bludgeon each
Just,
other.
yeah,
That's
just
gonna be
throw in
light heavyweight
bombs.
Gagey Chandler, like light heavyweight version of Gagey Chandler.
That
Like
would
that would be
actually be
crazy.
hilarious. That would be such a hilarious fight.
Yeah, that's like
Just blocky, boxy guys just inside throwing bombs.
bomb, bro. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think Minifield has big fights ahead of him, and he's climbing. He's heading in the right direction. Now, am I the ultimate believer, like in his skill set? And no, I'm not. Like, not even on some hating shit, just like on some handicapping shit, right? Like on some like just trying to predict accurately. Like, as a guy, I like him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love to see him go on to do great things. I just don't see it from like a elite skill set, standpoint. But I mean, I do think he's an elite athlete, especially by MMA standards. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my final take. I don't really have too much more to say on it.
Yeah, that's about all I have, too. As far as early prelims, you want to start at the top or start at the start?
I say we just keep marching our way down, kind of like in the way we're going, as to not throw people off. So up next, we got one of my least favorite fighters in the UFC, Marcin Prachnio, plus 230. Fucking bust out your alarm clocks and hit that snooze button when you see that guy on the fucking ballot.
Oh, he
And
wasn't
then
that snoozy in this fight.
gave me one of the worst fights I've ever seen, so I hate him forever. But yeah, taking on Vitor Petrino, who thank God isn't a snoozy fighter, or else this one would have been. I might have had to fast forward this one. Yeah, Vitor Petrino, 25 years old, 8-0, young lion, minus 275, another brick shit house, and just a massive light heavyweight. Properly jacked.
Jocked. I was
No,
going to say, Vitor's jocked.
definitely jacked. No, I think we got to talk about round one a little bit. I think it was kind of hard to score. I think it was kind of murky a little bit. It kind of like a beauty is in the eye of the beholder kind of round to score. I gave it to Pragno, even though I just talked mad shit. That he hurt Petrino with a clean punch.
Early on.
Had him hurt.
Like, cracked him
had
early.
Him hurt, like, and definitely won the damage battle as a result. Now, Petrino goes on to get 2 takedowns, but does very little damage. And they were kind of snoozy takedowns. Not the best control, obviously, because he had to get 2 of them. So that means Pragno got up on the first one. I mean, if you gave it to Petrino, you're not a crazy person, but I gave it to Pragno. He won at the biggest moment.
So I gave it to Pragno too. I thought he had more damage, and I thought it wasn't necessarily like the closest margin, and I thought the control wasn't necessarily like the most dominant forms of control by any means. So yeah. I lean to Pragno. Every judge scored that to Petrino.
Wow, I'm glad you brought that to the show, man, because I didn't actually look at the judges' score on this one because we got up finished, so it's not like immediately obvious what the judge scorecards were. So that's interesting, man. I mean, like I said, I see it, but I think the fact that we both gave it to Pragno and neither one of us liked Pragno, like that, I've got to count for something.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. That's why I was kind of like halfway joking. I was like, well, he wasn't this. I mean, he really wasn't the snooziest in this fight, and if Petrino hadn't been fighting for takedowns, Pragno would have, I think, given us a good fight, surprisingly.
No, for sure. Definitely Pragno's the better striker. Like, I don't think that's like a hot take to say. And I think also obviously not a hot take to say that Petrino's the better wrestler and grappler. Which Cormier was like hating hard on Petrino, but like kind of rightfully so. Like Petrino is definitely like not like elite at jiu-jitsu, but he's just such like a physical athlete that he's able to take these guys down. And I mean, but DC was just like, yeah, he doesn't even know what he's doing once he gets down there. And I mean, maybe there's something to that. Like, obviously, DC knows what he's talking about, but I don't know. I just thought it was kind of bad taste, if you will. The guy's, has 8 fights. He's 25 years old. He's beating a UFC vet on a biggest card of the year, and you're kind of just like shitting on him. Like, it'd be one thing if he was getting out grappled, but the guy's like winning the grappling exchanges, and DC's like dunking on his grappling. I just didn't love it. I mean, I'm not saying he was wrong, just didn't love it.
That's the DC special, though, right? I was also going to say that Petrino in round 2 is pretty much the same as round 1, except he doesn't eat that bomb to start and does a little bit more damage.
Yeah,
so kind of improved on like
ground and pound.
Yeah, kind of improved on both sides of the coin. I thought that was like a pretty clear Petrino round. And I also thought it was kind of clear that Pragno was starting to fade, too, from having to wrestle so much.
Yeah, for sure. It just was, like, physically outmatched. And, like, Pragno, while he was outstriking Petrino, like, when Petrino would land, Pragno's eyes would get about this big, and like, this guy's a goddamn monster.
Yeah, like, this guy's dropping nukes.
Yeah, for sure. And then in round 3, Petrino actually gets the arm triangle sub and controlled Pragno the whole round. And it was actually dope. Anik had another Leon Edwards moment where he kind of predicted
it was crazy.
He was like, if Petrino gets a sub, it'd be his first in his career. And then he literally one, fight clock minute later, he gets the sub. So Anik's the best, dude. I mean, it kind of makes up for all the DC fuckery. But Anik's awesome. That was my main takeaway. Honestly, I think I like Anik more than either one of these fighters. I'm going to spend my breakdown like shining Anik's wheels. But, no, I mean, like I said, and then, DC spent fucking, what is that, 12 and a half minutes or whatever talking shit on Petrino's grappling. He gets the submission win. Like, oh, no, it was just a weird fight to watch, kind of like, but.
Was odd. Honestly, I don't really have too much for either one of these guys as far as like what's next.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you could do Petrino Crute, but Crute said he's not fighting for 2 years or whatever the fuck, so you can't even really entertain that thought. So yeah, they'll find somebody for Petrino. Some light heavyweight out there. I could see him giving him that big like Norwegian guy or whatever. He's like a blonde haired guy. Goddamn, he was on Contender Series. Kind of a can. He's escaping me. I have a feeling that might be his next fight. The guy that fought Jonathan Almeida early on. Oh, well, it doesn't really matter. But
all right,
I want to keep it pushing, man, because we got some badass bantamweights up next.
South Africa, stand up.
The real African bantamweight.
You think he was trying to tell Terrence Mitchell he was a real African?
What's up with Jesus? It's just like, yeah, you already know, dog.
I literally saw this like when this fight happened. I thought in my head like, damn, they have a small white South African versus a small black guy, so we can later see potentially a big white South African face off against a big black guy.
It's like the Pokemon evolved version.
Yeah,
like,
literally, quite literally, like Pikachu and Raichu. Drickus is the Raichu version of fucking Cameron Simon and their teammates, which makes it way better.
It is. No, that was really hilarious. I did not think of it because this fight happened first. And we're talking about it second, but it happened first. Like we weren't really in that mindset.
Right?
But could you imagine if we were?
Oh my god!
Oh, that's hilarious. We got Terrence Mitchell. 14-2, making his debut at 33 years old as a plus 440 dog to Cameron Simon. Super range. I want to say he was like 5'11". He was a big old bantamweight.
Long too. Yeah, long arms.
Cameron Simon, 22 years old. You know, real prospect here. 8-0 coming into it. Minus 625 favorite, which is one of those things where like I like Simon a lot. Like I'm aware of him. I follow his career. I'm a fan. He's actually, I think he's engaged with us on Twitter a couple of times. He's a pretty cool guy. But
we big South Africa guys now.
Big fan of my Africans, but but no, Simon. Like I'll be real. Like even as a Simon kind of guy, I think it's fair to say I didn't think I had him as a minus 625 over like anybody on earth, like any like actual bantamweight, like even a debutant. Like that money line was kind of wild to me until you saw the fight take place. Like Simon's fucking the real guy. He's a guy, dude. He's a fucking guy.
Okay, as soon as this fight ended, I started asking myself, well, who the fuck is Terrence Mitchell? Have you looked up his fight record?
No, I haven't. I know he's 14-2.
Well, all 16 of those fights took place in Alaska, in the Alaskan Fight Championship.
Okay, so he's a can crusher, but
complete can crusher.
I'll be real, bro. These African guys, there's no black barbers in Africa, I'm convinced. I mean, I said in Africa, Jesus Christ. I'm fucking Drickus over here. In Alaska. This dude needs to hit up Mike Perry's barber ASAP. But, fucking, yeah. All these black dudes from Alaska come down just with the... Dude, they haven't seen a barber's chair.
Bro, they have to probably drive 400 miles to the nearest barber's chair.
Dude, it's a tough life out there for my Alaskan. What's more? What's more African black dude in Alaska?
Oh my god!
Jokes, people, jokes. But yeah, man. I mean, we'll get to it because I mean. Man, you know, he reversed Mitchell's takedown and then got his own takedown. Is that how it worked? Yeah, Mitchell actually came out and got a takedown.
Yeah, Mitchell got taken off the rip.
But then kind of immediately got reversed. And then, you know, and then Simon got his own takedown and just beat the fucking shit out of him.
Yeah, at that point it was just kind of like just a bully beatdown. Once he obtained top position, you could tell he was just way better on the ground, which led him to
I'm in on
dominant
Simon.
position.
And it's so hard to get like hyped on like unranked bantamweights because there's like 30 of them and they're all amazing and they're all good. But like, this is what I'm like actually getting on the Simon hype train, like for real. Like I believe in the skill set, like I really do. And
Bro,
I'm not saying
I'm convinced
he'll never lose. Like he'll lose eventually, but like. But he's legit. Like, he is legit.
There's just something about those guys that wake up every day and breathe in real African air. There's just something about those guys.
Something about it. I can't put my finger on it. But, I mean, it's tough because bantamweight's so stacked. But the thing is, 13 through 15 are all strikers. You got Yanez, Gutierrez, and Martinez. There's a world in which Simon like takes all those guys down and beats them up. Now, all those guys are 1,000% better on the feet, so it would be striker versus grappler. But like Simon has a path to victory against like all those dudes. I'm not big. He would be an
I
underdog.
still see him fighting guys like Cub Swanson or like kind of some more back
Weight
endish
class.
135s.
Is Swanson a bit in that? I thought Swanson was a bigger guy, but I don't know.
Oh, he
Either
is
way,
feather.
I see
You're
what you're
right.
saying.
You're right.
I see what you're saying. Like that ilk of guy, like that caliber of guy.
A name at 135. It's kind of older, but isn't necessarily fully out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who that could be. I'm trying to think of some. There's so many bantamweights, and we love our bantamweights, but it's almost hard to like kind of keep track of all of them. I'm trying to just look through my notes real quick, see if anybody jumps out. Fuck, man, where are these bantamweights at? Because it matters. Who Simon fights next matters, but I think that's cool because like that's kind of a compliment in and of itself. Like he, in my opinion, and like I said, I'm high on him, admittedly. Like he's working his way to like it kind of matters who he fights next. What about like a Ronnie Lawrence?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. Yeah. That's
like a guy we've heard of, an unranked guy, but a guy we heard of.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of name I'm looking for.
Yeah, that level of guy. And Ayman Zahabi, even.
Oh, what about like Daniel Santos?
Yeah, that kind of guy. I mean, there's so many bantamweights for him to fight. So like that's the cool thing about this division.
Or
and I kind of judge
or John Castaneda or God, what about one of the Boscherats? Isn't one of them 135?
See, I was. Oh yeah, I think both of them are the crazy thing.
What about Damon Blackshear? I think there's just plenty of guys that are like
bantamweight's crazy, bro.
Right.
All those guys are so good, and none of them are close to being ranked.
That's what I mean. So I think Simon still has one or two more before he gets to get a top 15 guy.
But I think that's a good thing because he's so young.
I agree completely. I think 11-0 is a good
like
record
if he gets
to have.
11-0 and fights Chris Gutierrez, like that's a fucking heater.
Great fight.
Yeah, all right, but like I guess we can end the stroke sesh. But I mean, I just think Simon at 22, performing the way he's performing, he's the real deal. But speaking of real deal, let's get to my new favorite flyweight. And I'm not talking Alexandre Pantoja. I am not talking. Hey, my favorite Mexican flyweight, and I'm not talking Brandon Moreno.
Sheesh, you talking about Alexa Grasso?
No, I'm not talking about. I don't even know, but fucking no. I'm talking about my fucking guy, Jesus Christ Aguilar. Jesus Aguilar.
Damn, that's crazy, bro. I thought you were talking about Edgar Shirez.
Hey,
just keep naming Mexican flyweights.
What a fool! Shout out to the fool. He was icing his fucking face with an ice cold Modelo after that one. But I'm just Sean Strickland. I'm sorry,
bro.
Here's the thing, guys.
The sound this punch made when it connected was just.
Bro, I cannot put enough hyperboles on this. This out of all the finishes on this card, this was the best one. I don't give a fuck what you have to say. Best finish on this card. Bro, this is one of my favorite knockouts ever. How fast it happened, how violent it happened, how it came from a flyweight, how I didn't give a fuck about this fight at all, and then immediately, like, just was literally standing up yelling in my apartment. Give me this knockout over Lawler's. Knockout was,
yeah,
I love it.
It was beautiful, right? And yeah, just the visual. It looked perfect if you had the sound muted. If you just heard it and couldn't see it, it's like a loud like pop, like you hear something clearly get just cleanly just teed off on. And then as far as like the overall, like even Aguilar's reaction, just knowing and like turning around, like standing over him and then walking away was like, oh damn.
Well, and we throw the word one punch knockout, like we throw that around kind of casually. No, like one punch was thrown in this fight. Like it was like reverse. Hamzat's stats are like crazy. Like he's only been hit 3 times in 5 fights or whatever the fuck before the Burns fight. Like
yeah,
actual one punch. There's a lot of things we think are one punch knockouts, but there's a setup jab or there's a leg kick. One strike thrown in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, well,
It makes it so
Aguilar
epic.
threw two long range leg kicks, like at literally the start of the fight. Like they were just like kind of sweeping low kicks.
First punch,
Yeah,
though.
first punch.
Only punch.
Yeah,
Either man.
yeah.
Bro, that's nobody's talking about this. That's why, like, say I'm overhyping it. Like, nobody's tweeting about it. Nobody gives a fuck about it. No, this highlight's not going viral. No, why? Like, bro, this like nobody knew who Joaquin Buckley was, and like that fight didn't matter whenever he got his knockout and it went viral. Like, this to me was doper than that. Like,
I think all the huge storylines and other like
it
stars
just got
stole the
buried in
star
the
power.
news. Like,
Yeah, like Drickus and Izzy stole everything.
literally like an Ngannou Overeem like level of violence from a 25-pounder, dog. Like,
See, that's the part that's like awe striking, right? Is that I've never seen a 125er just get starched like that.
never. Best 25-pound, and this includes Figueiredo.
Oh, this is the best
Like,
25-pound knockout all time.
of all time. Like, I haven't watched a bunch of other promotions 125ers, but I'll put it up against, like, this is an all-time knockout, dog. If you want to say it's an all-time flyweight knockout, it's an all-time prelim knockout. If you want to add more qualifiers on there, knock yourself out. But this is an all-time knockout. If you're not talking narrative, if you're not talking card placement, if you're not talking height, if you're talking about, like, highlight reel, casual, you don't know any MMA fighter's name, and I just show you this knockout. This is going to be like your favorite fighter.
So, do you think him and Tatsuiro Taira should fight next?
I kind of do. I think it would be salty to do to Tyra, but I'm a new founded Jesus Aguilar mark. And so, bro, I think he starts as Tyra. Like, now,
Oh,
obviously outstrikes Tyra. I don't think that's a hot take. If Tyra was able to take him down, control him, take his back, all that, do the jiu-jitsu shit, obviously it's not a close fight. But he 1,000% has more power. 1,000% is a better striker. Like, sign me up. Like, and then if he loses to Tyra, who gives a shit? And if he beats Tyra, still the hype.
okay,
The
yeah.
only reason I think Tyra deserves bigger and better fights and like better card placement. Like, Tyra Aguilar is like a prelim fight, an early prelim fight. It just is. But and I think they could do more with Tyra than that. So I'm not predicting for you that that's what happens. But I'm like, oh, in on Aguilar, bro, because like it just like we thought Cara France had knockout power. It's nothing like this.
I agree. The punching power is
We
special.
didn't
at
even
125.
mention who he knocked out.
Oh yeah, Shannon Ross.
Plus 120. But a lot of fights, a veteran, it's not like he knocked out some 5-0 contender series camp. Like a veteran, like that's kind of a legit knockout. Like, I mean, not like, but especially at this level of his career, I want to go and see who else he's fought and everything. I need to do a little more research on this, but like, dude, Jesus Aguilar, like honestly, my favorite moment of the whole night. Like, I'm not trying to like, I swear to God, like I'm like actually mean the things that I'm saying too. Like, give me that knockout over Drinkus and Izzy stare down, all that, bro. Like, this knockout was it. He's 9-2. Oh, I'm a fucking clown. In his last fight.
Oh,
Casual alert.
casual alert. Me too. Me too, though.
Jesus, that was bad. That was bad. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, he lost to a triangle armbar in the first round. But like I said,
And he fought Shirez, and he beat Shirez.
Damn, what a fucking babe. I wanted to be in the crowd of that fight, whatever bar that took place in.
Whatever bar.
I bet that was a fun night. Whatever Tijuana casino that took place in, bro, that was a fun night.
Oh my god, that is great,
on, bro.
I
I like this kid a lot. We'll keep it pushing though.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's keep it because I honestly like this. You might think I'm crazy for this. I actually kind of liked both guys after this, Not so much Kemuela Kirk, but I actually liked Esteban Ribowitz a lot. Ribovics.
Me too. Rebowick's El Gringo. It's crazy that them Argentinian, let's not talk about what our grandpa did type
I
of
was like, why is your name Ribovics? That sounds kind of German.
blue-eyed motherfucker El Gringo. I Hey, nothing to do with this guy though. This guy's a dog. We got Rebowicks minus 150, 11-1, taking on Camuel Kirk plus 130 in the lightweight division. I gave Kirk round one. He got the takedown, like 4 minutes and 40 seconds of control time with a rear naked choke attempt and some ground and pound.
Now, he had that rear naked position for what, 3 minutes?
A long time. Long time. Rebowicks, great sub D, though.
I think we've talked about this a few times before. When a dude gets your back and you defend it for 3 minutes, almost like Volk did against Makhachev, all the demons of him being on your back are gone. You've survived.
Like, no, this guy's not a finisher, clearly.
Right.
And then, see, this is kind of my hot take for this fight. No judge agreed with me. I was feeling generous that night. 10-8 to Rebowicks in round two for me, man. He got 2 knockdowns in 1 round. I mean, in boxing, that's a 10-7. And I honestly think this fight could have been stopped on both of them. Like, the ref giving Kirk, like, benefits of the doubt, like, heavily. Like,
so I actually thought the same thing. I gave it 10-8 as well. And literally only because on the second knockdown, I was like, damn, I think they could stop this. And, like, having said that, I had to be like, well, that has to be a 10-8.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Like, I honestly thought they could have stopped either one, but the second time when we've already seen it happen once, it's like, what are we doing here? Yeah, honestly, like, I think I'll go as far as to say should have been stopped.
And Kirk's chin, I mean, shout out to his chin, I guess, because he continued to keep getting up and eating shots.
Yeah, there's like weird types of chins where like you get
he has like the zombie chin, where like he just like, keeps getting hit, and like you can hit him and knock him down, but he just keeps getting up.
Yeah, the out but not. Or the down but not out chin.
And then you have the Holloway chin where you just can't knock him down. And that's even scarier.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And then round 3, you know, I gave it to Rebowicks 10-9. He got the damage. He got taken down but was able to get up like pretty quick.
Yeah, the get up was huge on that because it was like kind of a pivotal point in the round at which Kirk got it.
Especially on the judges' scorecards with no 10-8s.
Right. So if Kirk could have ridden out the round on top there, he probably wins it and wins the fight.
Yeah. Which would have been an atrocity.
Yeah, a travesty, really.
I'm so glad that didn't happen. Yeah, Rebowicks gets the win. You're right, though. High on this kid, too. Lightweight. Interesting matchup. Like, it's weird because he gets taken down kind of easily, but he gets up really well. Obviously has crazy power. Not the best jiu-jitsu, so kind of a limited skill set. But, like, you can get far with that kind of skill set. Like, he kind of reminds me of, like, a Frivola or, like, you know, like, I don't know, like, he has power and, like, can get up. And, I mean, obviously a dog.
I wouldn't mind seeing him fight someone like Claudio Puelles next.
Yeah, especially after Puelles' last show. He doesn't really deserve any favors. Like,
that's what I mean.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I don't necessarily have a better suggestion. Or, I mean, the Bonfim coming off a loss.
Yeah.
Kind of a banger. That's just somebody that comes to mind.
Or, I mean, we'll see Terrence McKinney fights this weekend.
Whoever loses that one.
Yeah, loser or winner, really. I mean, I think where Rebowicz is at, he kind of can slot in anywhere.
If McKinney wins, he ain't getting Rebowicz.
Yeah,
like, the UFC has a little juice still.
So,
I'm still kind of a believer. Yeah, if McKinney loses, or the guy he beats. But yeah, man, I mean, UFC 290, International Fight Week. So, like, us saying card of the year and talking about how good it was, like, that's the whole point of International Fight Week. So, in that regards, like, kudos to UFC because me and other people were, like, saying, like, oh, I mean, this is a good card, but I don't know if it's International Fight Week good. It was. It was fan-fucking-tastic. It was amazing. It was, like I said, I don't remember the last time I had that much fun watching a card, especially, like I said, I was by myself in my apartment. Like, obviously, the card we watched together, like, when you're watching cards with other people and stuff like that, obviously it's big. But, like, just in my apartment watching these, I think after work, I already worked a shift, like, and, like, having, like, an actual fun time. Like, my wife was watching it with me. It intrigued her. It brought her in, which not all cards are able to do. Like, this card was awesome. It had drama. It had storylines. It had emergences. I mean, number one contender matches, two championship fights, a fight of the year candidate. I mean, check box, check box, check box.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it does always happen when that is the case. I mean, this card this week is trash. 8 fights in the prelims. They're all terrible. You know what we do have in the featured bout, Dom? This is crazy, man. Third fight to last, right? So before the main and co-main, it's a women's featherweight fight.
Yeah, and they've been seeing a lot of headlines on Twitter that the reason this fight's taking place is because Rousey has started a rumor mill that Rousey's going to come back and save the featherweight division.
I've heard that.
Which kind of makes sense from like a UFC. We kept wondering what they were going to kill the division off without Nunes. This would be the thing that prevents it.
100%.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. Very gimmicky. I don't anticipate she has a lot of success, but like if the UFC does want to keep the division around, that's the way to do it. Like
100%.
Yeah. And so you got Duraev, Park. Park's a favorite there. I kind of like Park in that one, honestly. I think he should be a favorite. I'm definitely probably going to sprinkle a little Buena Silva plus 145. I think I'm going to take the plus money on that one. I mean,
interesting because both girls are like older than you think. Well, not Holly Holm. I mean, she's clearly old, but like Buena Silva is always older than I think she is too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just think the train's got, it's got to fall off the track sometime for Holly Holm. She's like literally in her 40s. Yeah, this card is tough, bro. I mean, I'm stoked for McKinney Sadikov. I mean, I like McKinney. I'm a McKinney fan. I'm definitely stoked for that one. Tough, dude. Just Jack Della. We get Jack Della, which is on the prelims because he's fighting a debutante. Which
fighting
I think
Basil Hafez or Hafez.
The Walt Harris Parisian fight got pulled. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, Walt Harris testing positive.
Popping hot. Tyson Nom's fighting the guy from Kazakhstan. Ooh, Tyson Nom's +3. We love betting Tyson Nom as a big dog.
I'm not going to do it.
Spark power.
I'm not going to do it.
He has that spark power. He has that spark power, but we usually like a little Nom sprinkle. Oh, Carl Deaton, the guy with the bootleg fucking rat tails fighting. Jesus. Yeah, this card is tough. You can't even say one for the hardcores. It's one for the, like, I have a podcast, so I'm going to watch, but fuck, there's probably better ways to spend a Saturday night. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be tough, but yeah, man.
I'm going to have to, like, yeah, dude, yeah. Nah, nothing worth it. This card, yeah. Tune in next week. Hear about it.
Yeah, we'll break down every fight numbers. Still.
What we do. That's what we do.
But yeah, we'll be back next week breaking down every fight just like we always do. But yeah, I will see you next week for what hopefully is not near as lackluster as a card as it looks to be.
Hopefully it's banger after banger. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you. Every fight, every card, even cards like next week. That's how you know it's every fight, every card. But yeah, man, appreciate